and welcome to Once Upon a Time at the Oscars.
The show that takes you through every Best Picture nominee from 1927 to today.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Ryan.
That confused me. That sounded wrong, but that was right.
Well, I shared with you off pod that I'm very my sinuses are killing me today. So I was wondering when you said I think you got that wrong. I was like, did I?
It was absolutely right.
Okay.
It was like my
Just making
brain
sure.
was catching up.
Mine too.
Hey, what do you think of the new theme song? Let's talk about this. We're like 4 or 5 episodes into the new theme song, but this is the first time you and me are talking about it.
So this is the first time that we're talking about it or recording once that that theme is available.
Right.
So you're right. I really like it. I think it's I really like the idea of having a different intro than an outro. Mm-hmm. So, and you have it's the same song, but it's different sections of it.
Right.
So, and I guess that was technically the case with the last one too. But no, I'm really liking this one so far. Look at all the applause that we're getting. Look at everyone's reception to it. Everyone loves it.
Hopefully. Guys, at home, if you do have feelings on it, just let us know what you think, if you enjoy it, if you don't. Probably won't change it if you don't like it, but I'd still like to hear.
Your thoughts matter.
Yeah.
Not enough for us to change it, but they matter.
Exactly. But besides that, we are back today talking about the 5th Academy year. I'm super excited for this year because this is the first time since we started the show, my cadence is weird, that we're talking about movies that I haven't seen yet.
Not technically true.
I know we've got the new,
Yes.
the modern, yeah, but that's a little different. It's
For sure.
This is the first time we're going back
Correct.
and experience. What is happening, dude? My chair just
It's creaking nonstop. Oh my god.
that just spun the arms on my chair. Okay,
Clearly we're possessed. Studio's possessed right now.
Let me square up to the mic and stuff. Guys, you excited for the 5th Academy year? It's chaos.
Your chair is.
But I think it's cool that we come back to the 5th Academy year and we start off with a director that we're very familiar with, and I think we both enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked about Ernst Lubitsch previously with the Love Parade, and we talked off pod and also on pod back for the Love Parade episode how there is a Criterion collection of Ernst Lubitsch musicals that have 4 movies in them, 3 of them being The Love Parade, 1 Hour with You, which we'll talk about later this season, and the movie we're talking about today, The Smiling Lieutenant.
Yes.
There is a 4th movie that we think might be called Cavalcade. We're not 100% sure.
Pretty sure that's what it's called.
It's not Charade.
Should I look it up?
Sure.
Let's look it up. Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo,
Yeah.
sure. Okay. I don't know where we got Cavalcade from.
That is nominated, but I don't think that's a Lubitsch movie.
There you go. So it has Cavalcade. Oh my god, I did it again. It has Monte Carlo, 1 Hour with You, which we'll talk about later this season, the Love Parade that we've talked about previously, and then our movie for today, which is The Smiling Lieutenant.
Absolutely. And you do own this Criterion collection, correct?
I do, but I own the DVD. The DVD of this came out before the Blu-ray.
Okay.
The Blu-ray just came out a month or 2 ago. So
Right.
it is available, and I would like to update that at some point. But this was the first of those movies that I ended up watching on disc. Because Love Parade I caught on YouTube before I was able to pick up this on DVD.
Right.
So very excited to talk about the quality of that, how it looks on DVD, and I'm very excited to hear how you felt about watching the Blu-ray.
I actually don't know if I watched the Blu-ray. No, I must have, because the PS5 won't play a DVD. I don't think.
It will.
Will it?
Yeah.
I have no idea what I watched then.
It will, as far back as DVDs, it will play up. But
Okay.
you can't put an 8-track or VHS in there.
Fair play.
I don't know if you've tried that.
I did watch part of the collection as well, the Criterion. I actually rented it from the Atlanta video store, Videodrome.
Big fan.
Which I love Videodrome. I love just going in there sometimes and walking around. And they probably hate that. But I just walk in and they're like, "Can I help you find anything?" And I said, "No, I found my home. Thank you."
Do you ever feel like, and that's a very sweet thing to feel, but do you also feel like part of you is ever Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation?
No.
Where someone's like, "Hey, can I help you?" And you're like, "I know more than you."
Never. Not once. Actually, when I was grabbing this movie, the guy came over and he was like, "Can I help you find anything?" "Oh, I'm looking for the Lubitsch collection." And he immediately went to the shelf, pulled it off, handed me, this was probably coincidence, but handed me the right disc from the collection that had both the movies from this year. And I was just like, "You're a god. How did you know?"
He's like, "I listen."
He was incredible.
He knows that we're talking about Smiling Lieutenant, so he just pulled that for you.
Yeah, I did mention the podcast.
You look like a
to
man
him.
who's talking about the 5th Academy Awards right now.
How did you know? But yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited. So The Smiling Lieutenant came out in 1931 to add to the confusion of the early Academy years. This was directed by Ernst Lubitsch, starring Maurice Chevalier, Claudette Colbert, Miriam Hopkins and Charles Ruggles.
I also have George Barbier as King Adolf the 15th.
Very nice.
Just to go one out from you.
I think there's one more person in the movie that gets credited, but I don't remember who it is.
So we're both wrong. We'll take that. So this had one nomination, and this was specifically Outstanding Production on behalf of Paramount Publix. So it's not the last time that we'll talk about a movie here that was nominated for one thing, and it being Best Picture. But how did you feel watching this and knowing that the only nomination that we saw was Outstanding Production?
I think it's something to think about when the first movie we cover for this year is one of those, because I'm like, okay, well, what was nominated for cinematography or writing? Like, where are those nominations going to go? Especially because, spoiler alert, I enjoyed this movie. So it's kind of like, well, there are things better than this. I'm excited. This is good foreboding, I guess, but...
I really enjoyed it. I mean, we can talk about the comparisons to Love Parade and Smiling Lieutenant when we get to it, but the general plot of The Smiling Lieutenant is Nicky, who is Maurice Chevalier. He is a lieutenant in the army, and not a surprise, picking right back up from Love Parade, bit of a player.
Yeah.
Just gets around, and he ends up going to a all-women orchestra with his friend to see someone that his friend is interested in, and that rapscallion is interested in that woman instead. And that ends up being Francie. So that's Claudette Colbert. And they end up striking up a romance, and it is kind of forbidden. It is kind of how it feels, like the lieutenant isn't supposed to have that kind of relationship. But then specifically, while attending a parade for a love parade, if you will, for the king and princess of Flossenthurn, he ends up winking and smiling and laughing at Francie. But the Princess Anna, actually is driving by in a chariot while this happens and mistakes this advance towards her, which of course is a legal offense and something that he ends up having to answer to the king and the princess themselves. And in order to get out of this, he kind of charms his way into their life and ends up being more involved in Princess Anna's life than he originally intended. And that is The Smiling Lieutenant. So what did you think about The Smiling Lieutenant overall?
It's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun.
I think that's just what you have to look forward to, at least in all of these Lubitsch musicals. Like, I can't wait for 1 hour with you. I've heard it's not...
Thanks, buddy.
I've heard it's not the strongest of the musicals, but just knowing what you get from Lubitsch and how much comedy is involved, and not just in like the dialogue, but also in the deliverance of like Maurice Chevalier's singing. It's so unique. It's not like really great, beautiful melodic singing. It's played for laughs. It's kind of Muppety at times, and I'm all for that. I also like the opening of this movie. Did you enjoy like the physical, not even physical comedy, almost like the editing comedy?
Yes.
Isn't it cool?
I very much enjoyed that. I think what you're referring to is the opening of the movie is a tailor ends up walking up to Nicky's house and knocking to try and get his attention to pay his bill that he hasn't paid. Just like charges upon charges of gray army pants or jacket. And he hasn't paid it. And he knocks multiple times, rings the doorbell, which, by the way, we got to talk about that doorbell. I think that was of the time in the 1930s, but still I want to talk about it. But then ends up leaving. And as he's leaving, going down the stairs, a woman walks past him, and she has a specific knock on the door. Yeah. And when she makes that knock, then the door opens all of a sudden because Nicky's aware of who's at the other side of that door. And I really liked the editing of this. That then cuts to another bit of the editing that you talked about, the light being off and then turning on and then turning off again, to kind of show the passing of time after this has happened. I really like the comedic side of the editing here. So I agree with you. You know, it is a musical, but the music itself is a lot more vaudevillian than it is like, you know, what we've come to expect from like an Andrew Lloyd Webber type situation.
Sure.
Those tend to push the narrative along in a very catchy, rhythmic way. And this is almost like almost like nursery rhyme. Like they're almost like little nursery rhymes. The one that he keeps coming back to, Nicky, is the ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, like this, that over and over, and that pattern. And you're right, he doesn't have a great voice or anything. But one thing I want to talk to you about, and this is kind of right off the bat, after he has that scene with the woman who comes to visit him, he then has a song that he sings, but he's actually singing it directly into the camera.
Right, yeah.
This is not something I remember happening in Love Parade.
No, I don't think that does happen. But I think that's kind of the thing. Like, he's presenting to you who he is and what he's looking for and kind of breaking the fourth wall there. I think that song is a lot of fun. And again, his style of singing, I don't even know if I would say he's a bad singer because he might be great, but I think his characters, he specifically does this very playful, I don't know, it's like he's winking at the camera with his voice in a way.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Like he's aware of his talent,
Yeah.
quote unquote, like either lack of or amount of talent that he has. That's clear in the way that he's singing here. And it is interesting because obviously this leads the way for what musicals become, but it's a different look of what musicals are. There are maybe, I think, 5 songs that I counted that happen throughout the movie. And then, of course, we see musicals like Les Mis, where the movie itself, well, I mean, the stage play as well, but the entirety of the movie is done in sing-song form. So we've seen the evolution of what these become, and this was kind of an interesting, step from Love Parade in the sense that it felt like it was more, they used the songs comedically than they did in Love Parade. Love Parade was a little bit more narrative focused. This was a little bit more intentions.
Yes.
Shared in that.
And you can see it even when there's not like singing, just when the music is playing. For example, the girl that runs up the stairs after the tailor leaves, the string instruments kind of have that like
Yes,
as she's going up the stairs. Yeah, it's very like a Mickey Mouse cartoon kind of thing.
So specifically, this was Conrad Salinger. That was the composer behind the score here. And this inspired the MGM musicals of like the 40s and the 50s. So of the decade and 2 decades to come after that. And it's exactly what you're talking about, where the music kind of matches the characters. And you'll see this, there's a scene, I'm jumping ahead here, where Francie and Princess Anna are walking out of a room from just having like a song together. And when Francie walks out, the theme is very like subdued and kind of solemn. But then Princess Anna walks out kind of hurriedly, and the score picks up just a little bit of pace to match this. And I really like this. This was something we didn't see in Love Parade.
Yeah.
So I love how they're kind of, I say they, Salinger and Lubitsch together are evolving the musical just from like 2-3 years from what we've seen. So the whole reason that I really enjoy doing this pod, well, with you, that's one. But the other thing I really like doing about this pod is the history of it. And we see the evolution of things.
Yes.
And it's really cool that we're already seeing the evolution of musicals from what Lubitsch did previously with Love Parade to this.
Yeah. Speaking of musicals, one thing that I find interesting, I've talked about like when I'm on set, so many people are like, yeah, I don't really watch movies. I'm like, what? I don't understand that. But when you do find somebody that's into movies, even unprovoked, it comes up very often that, yeah, I don't like musicals.
Yep.
I can't get into them. And that's always been so bizarre to me because people love music and people love movies. What don't you like about combining them?
It's funny. We had just been talking about world building and movies like John Wick or the Ready or Not franchise, where it's the establishing of rules. So you know what this world lives in. And musicals can be such a wide-ranging of variety of what kind of musicals there are. I mentioned Les Mis, sing-songy throughout all 3 hours of that. Some even longer with the show. Mamma Mia, more of a jukebox musical. Then you have something like Love Parade, where it is narratively focused, but it doesn't really communicate like the characters. That's the song, not the score. But then you have movies like The Smiling Lieutenant, where yes, people are singing songs, but the score really is its own kind of musical piece here. Right? Like it's telling a different version of that story. So I think the reason for that is that it's kind of like saying, I don't like horror movies. You do. You prefer like Monster Squad versus like Midsummer.
Right.
Like you're more horror, like Gremlins is like perfect, like little like children's horror.
Yeah, you have to find your subgenre in the genre.
Because I can't remember the last time I said that I hated I didn't enjoy one genre, and there's not one movie that I enjoyed from that genre. Right. I don't love anime historically, but there's anime that I've seen that I've really enjoyed. It's just not indicative of the rest of the anime that I've seen. So I think it's people have tried the wrong version of it. Now I say that. And I don't want to perpetuate the idea of what's been perpetuated to me with anime, where I'm like, yeah, I've watched like 5 different series, like 10 seasons, and I'm just not into it. And someone's like, you just haven't watched my favorite one yet. I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
come on. But with musicals especially, there's so many different versions that you can get into that I agree with you. It's kind of strange when someone says they're not a fan of them, generally.
And I think I turn to like Disney movies, especially like growing up, being a 90s baby
you don't
or
like
whatever.
Aladdin?
Right. And I think that's what attracts me so much to these early musicals is, again, the music kind of being used to choreograph characters in a way that's not dance, it's just their actions, is very reminiscent of Disney cartoons or Looney Tunes cartoons, and the music, there's a beat of music when a character trips and bumps their head kind of thing. And it's played for laughs, it's played for emotion, it's played for all of these things that helps paint your characters without having them ever speak a word. I love that type of musical, and that's what this early style is.
Right, because you don't want him to come out and say things like, I sleep around.
Right.
I enjoy the company of a woman. Yeah, the song kind of does that, especially when, I mean, that opening song is, I love it when she ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Like, all right, man, you're just going to, honestly, a bar. Because how that's not a rap song from the 2000s.
It's coming.
It's coming. But one thing that is kind of communicated by other people about Nikki is this term that keeps repeating throughout the movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not the ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta?
Not a theme like music, but more a title that they give him. Son of a Gun.
Oh,
is
yes.
something that they refer to a lot with Nikki. And it's interesting because I really like the satire of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We see, I'm jumping back a little bit here, we're introduced to the king and princess of Flossentherm on the boat or the train on the way to Vienna, where this is set. Interesting thing, I mean, Vienna, obviously a very real place. Flossentherm is not. And I guess the reason why is they make a mockery of the king and princess at time to time from this, and they don't want that to be a geopolitical issue.
Right.
So they created Flossentherm. There's a whole bit in there about how the emperor of Vienna writes to the king and has misspelled Flossentherm. And while he's offended by this, his daughter, the princess, very much kind of goads him on, where she's like, well, it's because they don't think we're worthy of the letters. Like, she perpetuates the idea of they're not respected, when in reality it's just an honest mistake. And in the letter itself, he does address it with age.
Right.
This even comes back to when they're interrogating, or rather the king is interrogating Nikki for what he has done to Princess Anna, and he asks him how he spells Flossentherm. So the satire of these royals and the way that they have like way too big of a head for themselves.
Right.
Really enjoyed that aspect. And that's where we see the son of a gun come in. We see a lot of Nikki specifically kind of working the room, right? Whether it be with other women or his friends, and kind of cheating his friend a little bit when he first meets Francie. We see the term son of a gun come around. And the satire is there too, because they kind of linger on son of a just a little long.
Right.
So you're kind of wondering what this could be. Like, are they trying to say it but not say it? And this comes after we talked about Front Page not too long ago with that final scene of throwing your fist down to kind of cover up a curse.
Right.
And I really, really like that aspect of this too.
Yeah, and I think that's one of many, many elements in this movie specifically where you can see a lot of this pre-code taking effect. I mean, this is another one of those like sex comedies that has zero sex, but like 10,000% implied sexual undertones.
100%. And we see that in this year as well with the Academy Awards. We'll talk about that here on the next episode. But with this one specifically, I thought the way they tackled it was probably the most racy, because they didn't show anything specifically, but there's a musical number between Francie and Princess Anna that kind of shows the most like, you should be putting in effort for your husband to be interested in you kind of thing. And they show like lingerie and the idea of like these robes and trading out your slippers for heels.
Yes.
And that's where we start seeing a little bit more of like the alluding to what it takes to like make men interested.
Yeah.
Interesting that they kind of do this instead of, you know, show them go into a room and slam the door. There's more hints to it than just that.
Yeah. And like there's the early part where Nikki has Francie over and he asks if she'll stay for breakfast and she declines, and there's kind of a sweet little moment there. And then they share a kiss in the hallway as she's leaving, and the next scene you see are just eggs cooking in a pan.
Yes.
And you're like, got it.
Yep.
That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Well, because they talk about what breakfast kind of means, where maybe we can get lunch, and then maybe that leads to dinner, and then perhaps we get breakfast. And that then kind of leads or alludes to them spending the night together. Mm-hmm. So something that we'll talk about as time goes on here, because there is very much this idea in the 30s where it's not proper to be having these kind of relations outside of wedlock. Not as much of a concern in this movie as it is in something like Bad Girl that we'll talk about in the next episode. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was interesting, where they were still obviously adhering to the Hays Code with this. But it was a little more fast and loose than Bad Girl was. Bad Girl, we'll talk about it as we get there, but Smiling Lieutenant is definitely playing it for laughs. Whereas I think they take it a little more seriously in other movies.
Yeah. And again, we'll talk about it with Bad Girl, but I think that when there is a source material that is so heavy in a lot of taboo subjects, the code office comes in with more strict enforcements, whereas this is kind of just, we wrote this to be playful and funny, so we can kind of get away with more because you don't have a preconceived idea of what this is about.
Right.
Not to say this wasn't adapted. I touch on that real quick. This is super confusing. This is based on the 1907 operetta by Leopold Jacobson and Felix Dorman, which was based on the 1905 novel by Hans Müller Anagen, and that was called Nuxte Pusgamal.
Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it.
That's what I have too.
Perfect. Awesome. So, yeah, I don't know. Just all of the innuendos and things were so funny to me. There's even the whole musical number, Breakfast Time, This Must Be Love, where it's just breakfast foods with sexual implications. And it's so good.
They were really going for it with Smiling Lieutenant. I want to talk a little bit about the overarching plot of this movie.
Yeah.
It becomes a little bit more, and I'd like your opinion on this. It kind of becomes, I guess, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen The Smiling Lieutenant. We see the complication of Nicky being pretty much married off to Princess Anna in order for this not to, or his action to affect his life or have him killed or banished from the army. So instead of seeing a plot where he is able to get out of this relationship with Princess Anna and be with the woman he loves, Francie, we actually see this flipped, where he and Francie come to terms with, like, he cannot be with her because he has to be in this relationship for the things that he's done. So we see Francie actually, like, helping Princess Anna make him happier, which I thought was kind of like, I thought that was interesting. I'm not sure how I felt about it because it felt like such a swerve of what you would have expected. The happy ending here would have been Princess Anna's like, I've realized the error in my ways and we shouldn't judge you like that. Like, clearly you're in love and I don't want to get between that. But instead it was like, well, you can learn to love me.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, like, sexual repression in Princess Anna. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's the opposite of what we see in Nicky. So even the way that they try to talk to each other is very, like, she'll try to hint at things and he's not picking it up or he doesn't want to pick it up.
Right.
So he tries to be respectful to his relationship with Francie. And we see that evolve over time, especially towards the end. But how did you feel about that as, like, that's where the musical kind of went to?
I honestly was kind of sad by the end of this movie.
I agree.
I felt so bad for Francie. Ultimately, Nicky does stay with Princess Anna.
Yes.
And she has, like, a complete change of personality and character. So the idea is supposed to be, wow, Nicky lucked out. He was with this, like, lack of knowledge young girl that he didn't really vibe with. And,
Yes.
and now she's kind of grown up into this similar to Francie kind of racy girl. But you feel bad for Francie when she leaves. I did read something that Billy Wilder wrote about Ernst Lubitsch in general, and specifically the Smiling Lieutenant, how the Lubitsch touch is kind of stacked jokes. So the whole movie is played for laughs, and you get your jokes from the situation itself, but the ultimate big joke is you don't get what you expect. The final cherry on top joke moment is he ends up with the wrong girl.
Yes, but the tough thing for me, and I get the joke on that, the tough thing is that the entire movie, we fall in love with Francie as well.
Sure.
Right? I mean, so let's take a beat here. Claudette Colbert, what's going on?
She's great.
She is great in this movie. She's beautiful.
Yes.
I love the scenes where she's playing violin or viola? Violin.
Yeah.
Okay. She's playing for the orchestra. She's leading the all-women's orchestra. She's so good in performing, whether she's really playing or not, but also in singing and in the romance scenes between her and Nicky. She's also keeping up with Nicky. Intelligence. Like, the conversation they're very witty to each other.
Oh, yeah.
So I really enjoy her overall in this movie, which makes that end portion where essentially she's like, okay, well, I'm going to lose Nicky, and he's going to have to be in this relationship. So what's the best thing I can do? I know. Why don't I teach his wife how to be sexy so he'll want to be in this relationship? And it's a good musical number. I actually like this musical between her and Princess Anna.
Yes.
Because I think that's that Lubitsch touch of, well, let me tell you the glory of trading out a robe for a lingerie and, like, the glory of this and why you'd want to wear a heel. And I like that you kind of see Princess Anna picking this up in real time. She's not, like, immediately, cool, I know what I'm doing now. You see her trying to practice it while Nicky is, like, coming down and seeing her change. That sequence is really great, where he comes down and sees her playing, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And he runs upstairs to check the bottle he's been drinking to see if he poisoned himself. And then he runs back down, and she's in a completely different attire, and she's in the mirror. And I was like, this is great, because you can tell that she's like running to try and get like different things on.
Yeah.
So again, it's showing that not everything is perfect, and they are trying in this. And I guess ultimately it is a happy-esque ending, but not for Franzi.
No, not for Francie at all. And I think that cherry on top joke that Billy Wilder was referencing is kind of stuck in that bubble of 1931 or 1950 from when Billy Wilder was writing about it. And it works on a very like male forward audience
Yes.
from the time. Whereas to us now in 2026, looking back at it, we're like, but what about Francie?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I would love to get like a woman's opinion on it. Are they happy that Francie like stepped up for the man she loves and gave him the life that she feels he deserves because he has no other choice? Or do women watch this and they're like, yeah, Nikki sucks?
Yeah, I don't know if you know this. I guess I'll just go ahead and state this for the pod. I'm not an ambassador of women. I don't intend to speak on their behalf.
Sure.
But what I will say is I thought about Taylor's thought, my wife. I thought about what she would feel at the ending on this. And I'm pretty confident to say that she would say that's busted.
Yeah.
It is absolutely busted to do this. But it's because you're exactly right. Like in the 30s, this was more like, what a dame that she would do this for her husband. It's like, yeah, but you shouldn't. Like, I understand that it benefits Nikki, but that doesn't mean she should do it and have to deal with all that. But with all that said, I like the letter that she leaves him of like, hey, I visited your wife, and she's not half as bad. Like, she's not just a blonde.
Oh, yeah, that's the joke there too. And it's actually very sweet because when he first has an evening with Anna, Princess Anna, excuse me, don't want to, put some respect on
How
the
do
name.
you spell Flosenther?
They're Nikki and Franzi are flirting. Flirting. I'm Sebastian from The Little Mermaid all of a sudden. Kiss the girl. She asks, what color is her hair? Is she a blonde or brunette? And he goes, I don't know. Showing that he doesn't care. It doesn't matter. He's in love with Franzi.
Yeah.
So then at the end here in that letter, she specifically says, it may interest you to know that she is blonde and very charming.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's such a sweet, bittersweet note, rather. I love Franzi. I feel so bad for her.
I do too, and I think the three leads here are very good in Maurice, Claudette, and Miriam. Miriam is Princess Anna. What I do want to talk about is something that I read here, where while they were filming this, they actually made a French version of The Smiling Lieutenant at the same time. So while they were filming The Smiling Lieutenant, they were also filming the French version of The Smiling Lieutenant with Maurice, Claudette, and Miriam as the three leads.
Okay, gotcha.
So obviously, the other characters, King Adolf, Max, that they were not reprising their roles because I assume they didn't speak French. So, but Maurice, Claudette, and Miriam did, so they were able to do this at the same time. And I thought this was interesting because we've heard of remakes. We've heard of well, this is the Spanish version of this.
I've heard of remakes.
Have you? But this one is the first time that I've seen kind of both filmed side by side. So I thought that was really interesting. And the reason for that is in 1931 to 1933, at that time, dubs weren't a thing.
Right,
so in order to make the French version, you had to make a French version of it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. It's not something I'd seen before, and it kind of speaks to the power of those three leads, how good they are, but also that they really are the face in America or in France of The Smiling Lieutenant. So I really liked that. But this is also, along with being available internationally as well in France, this was Paramount's biggest hit of 1931.
Yes.
Not terribly surprising, given Love Parade and everyone's interest in musicals.
Yeah, no, Lubitsch, I think, solidified himself in the musical scene with the Love Parade 2 years prior to this, and I would imagine that it was something audiences were wanting.
Yes.
They were like, man, we love Maurice. Let me get some more of that. And Lubitsch stepped up, came out with this, and it really is a ton of fun. And I think it does capture that very similar vibe to the Love Parade. Makes sense, it being in the Criterion Collection. They all do have the similar vibes.
It does. The other side of this, along with Maurice, is with Miriam and Claudette. They were specifically like they when they were being filmed, they had the request of their angles being exactly the same. Which for most of the movie, well, like the camera angles.
Oh, I thought you said ankles. I was like,
Well,
what does that mean?
When you get my ankles on shot, it has to be this specific angle. Angle. There's a t-shirt idea for us.
Ankle angles. I like it.
So, no, when they were on camera, they preferred the same angle from that, which isn't a big deal because for the majority of this movie, I would say maybe the first 80-85% of this movie, they really don't share screen time. The only time they really do is whenever the incident happens and the lieutenant is indeed smiling at Francie and Princess Anna happens to drive by at that exact moment. That's really the only time that they're ever truly on screen together until the last 15 minutes of this movie. So I read this and I was like, oh, it's really interesting. I wonder why that's important. The reason that's important is that musical number between Francie and Princess Anna, where even though they have the same angles, you'll see them kind of switching spots. So they're not in that different angle. This didn't result in like a feud or anything. It's not like they're like battling on set, but they did have a request to have those same angles. And this was something that Ernst actually thought, Lubitsch, we're cool like that.
Yeah.
That he thought kind of helped the rivalry of Princess Anna and Francie. So he kind of kept that idea in there of both accommodating both of their requests to make them feel a little more at odds with each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a nice touch too.
Yeah, that's pretty common. I feel like we've talked about that in the past before. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of...
I'm sure we'll continue to.
Yeah, like it'll definitely show up.
Right.
These two hated each other on set, blah, blah, blah.
Can you imagine when we get to like what happened to Baby Jane?
Is that a thing?
I think so.
Oh, is it?
I may have made it up.
We'll see.
I guess we'll have to wait for the 60s, 70s to get there.
Let me
60s?
ask you...
We'll figure it out.
Let me ask you this. Did you miss the dancing from the Love Parade in this? Because there's no dancing in this movie. It's not that kind of musical.
There's not. And I think that kind of lends itself to that opening sequence of Nicky looking into the camera. Like he's sitting on his bed, like just singing this song, not really moving. He's very animated in the way that he'll like move his like shoulders and his arms when he's doing it. Especially that. And he'll be standing. There's a couple moments where he'll stand, and especially in the end, he does a reprise of that song with Princess Anna in the background. And he's also kind of doing like the hands and like the gestures, but he's not dancing. I don't know if I'd say I miss it because there's never a moment where it feels like they should be dancing right now.
Sure.
It's a little more subdued than that. And I appreciate that because not every musical has to be, well, this is a big musical number, baby.
Sure, yeah.
It can be in that world specifically. And I think if it was dancing, it would feel kind of out of place in this movie specifically.
Yeah, I can totally get behind that. I do think I picked up on it because I thought so much about Lulu and I forget the guy's name, but they have that whole dance number where he's like falling on his head and breakdancing in a way.
Yes.
It's so insane, and the Love Parade is what I'm referring to. But it got me thinking about one of the biggest complaints, I think, from this era of movies, early sound films, is they're very stilted. There's not a whole lot of like moving around on the screen. Most people are they plant their feet and they deliver their lines. They move, plant their feet, deliver their lines, that kind of thing. And that's kind of due to the restrictions of sound at the time. And I thought that was interesting and probably a big reason why there aren't dance numbers in this. I'll be curious to see what the other Lubitsch musicals look like that we cover. But when you look back at the Love Parade, you can see that they hadn't really figured that out, and they were throwing in these dance numbers.
It really is, and I appreciate this because I think we've seen movies like Cimarron and previously in Old Arizona where we've seen them try to do some things that they weren't able to do yet. And while I appreciate that affects the quality of the movie, that you're like, yeah, that's cool that you did that, but the audio is terrible because you're running around the microphone at all times. So I almost appreciate Ernst Lubitsch making this musical to now say, okay, well, dancing around, we weren't able to get everything on microphone, so what if we limit how much people are moving around in a musical setting? Because, I mean, people are still walking around and everything in this, but when they're singing, we see that more contained. And I really appreciated that because it felt like it was in that world. Again, the world building of it.
Yeah.
Right? So I appreciate that.
I did too. I think it is one of the things too that contributed to the music itself, kind of, I'll say the cliche, being a character in the movie because you didn't have the dance numbers and things. So at a point, you have the music kind of playing over just their normal actions. The girl running up the stairs. There's a moment at the end where Princess Anna keeps trying to woo Nicky with the chessboard.
Yes.
And he throws it on the ground at one point, and it doesn't make an audible sound, but the music kind of plays that brink, as it happens.
I did notice that because there's other moments where like a door will close and you won't hear that close. But then in that same scene, when he walks into the bedroom and closes the door, you hear that close. So there's some inconsistency to it. But I think that consistency that you're talking about is that if they ever don't play the sound for that action, there's music to accompany it.
Right.
And that's that level of intention.
Yeah, it feels all very intentional and purposeful.
For sure. I do want to talk about Charles Ruggins.
Ruggles, not Ruggins. I heard this name and I was kind of like, oh yeah, we've seen him before. I've heard this name. Yeah.
And I looked into it and we haven't in any of the movies that we've talked about. But maybe this is what I was thinking about. This is not the last time we'll be talking about Charles Ruggles this year. He appears in the other Ernst Lubitsch picture, which is 1 Hour with You.
Oh, does he?
He does.
Okay, nice.
He does. I made sure I wrote that down. He is, I don't know if he's the lead, but he does appear in 1 Hour with You. Not an incredibly present character in this. I believe he is the friend in the beginning who is interested in Franzi.
Gotcha.
That Nikki just straight up steals from.
Yeah.
Just straight up like, oh, this guy's bothering you during your song, isn't he? Isn't he a snake? You should hang out with me. But he does show up, and I thought that was interesting that, I mean, that Ernst Lubitsch has 2 movies coming out in the same year.
Yeah.
But then to have the cast kind of repeat themselves. Maurice obviously showing up from Love Parade to Smiling Lieutenant, and then Charles Ruggles showing up from Smiling Lieutenant to 1 Hour with You.
Well, Maurice Chevrolet is also the lead in 1 Hour with You.
Oh, well, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah. And you know who else returns?
Is it Claudette?
Jeanette MacDonald from the Love Parade.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm looking forward to seeing those two together again, mostly because I want to see if I prefer the chemistry of Maurice Chevrolet and Jeanette MacDonald or Maurice Chevrolet and Claudette Colbert, because I really like them together.
I was going to say, I think I'm Team Smiling Lieutenant on that. I did like Smiling Lieutenant a bit more than I liked Love Parade. Because Love Parade, again, you can kind of feel them trying to do things that it didn't feel like, that didn't land as well.
The technology didn't catch
exactly,
up.
In terms of technology. This one, it felt like top to bottom, there weren't any issues that I had with the quality.
Yeah.
And it helps, and again, let's talk about this, that I'm watching the DVD. You know, you watch the Blu-ray of this, and I'm interested in how the quality was on that, but I popped in the DVD on my Xbox, and I had a great time. Like, I very much enjoyed my time on this. Imagine my surprise when I put on closed captionings, and it's the exact closed captions.
Whoa.
I know, right? Instead of on YouTube when they're like, that's kind of like what they said.
Yeah, maybe they said robot here in this 1931 film.
Yeah, I love how they always mention... Do you ever have this happen where you think of a reference and you think of 2 despicable things? You're like, well, I don't want to say that. Like, why were those the 2 references that I came with?
Yeah.
There's always a word that you're like, that wasn't a thing in the 1930s.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think Grateful Dead was a band in 1930, but sure.
Yeah.
They did say Grateful Dead. One thing I want to start doing, and we're in the 5th Academy Award year, and I want to start talking a bit about the writing of these movies.
Sure.
In the sense that we've seen really great like lines and deliveries in previous movies that we talked about, but this year specifically, I've done the research on Aerosmith, on Bad Girl, on Smiling Lieutenant, and from all 3 of them, there are lines and also deliveries of those lines that I really enjoyed. And it felt like I kind of want to make sure that we're talking about this moving forward, where call this the line corner or the delivery corner. I want to talk about these lines specifically. There's a line that Maurice Chevrolet says, Chevrolet?
I have no idea.
The problem is I'm trying to say it like you, but I end up saying Chevrolet, which I know isn't right. I thought it was
Just call
Chevalier.
him Maurice Chevy.
MC.
Don't do that. Yeah, there you go.
MC. So Maurice specifically has a line where the king is trying to push the relationship between him and Princess Anna, and he walks out of Princess Anna's bedroom when she is like, well, maybe we could, There's like a 30-second scene where she's just like, we can,
Raised eyebrows.
Essentially saying for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought it was funny how he kind of like at first was like, what? what do you, I don't know what you're talking about. And it was genuine. And then when he did realize, he was like, oh no, and I'm out, see ya.
Yeah.
And he leaves, but when he was leaving the bedroom and he's going up the stairs to his own room, he passes the king. And he ends up kissing the king. And he has a line, and I love this line, that's as far as I go. That's my limit.
Yeah.
And it's not even a great line. It's just the delivery of it specifically is like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how happy I am to be here. Not happy.
Right.
And I thought that specifically was great because he kind of does like this arms crossed, or not crossed, but like arms out thing of like, that's my limit.
Yeah.
That's as far as I go. And it's nice because in an otherwise very comedic performance, it felt kind of like his drama coming out. Like you
Sure.
can see like his like training on that. So I really like that line. We talked about son of a gun, but I mean, have you found that too? Like as we get more into the writing is more intentional with these, that the lines and deliveries are very notable.
Absolutely. I think it first started to show up. Well, I really enjoyed it in The Love Parade, and I think that's a testament to Lubitsch himself.
Sure.
But I think last year that we covered with Skippy in the front page, where it's got very snappy dialogue, and very like of the time as well. That was just fun. It's almost there's a lot of slang in Skippy, especially that I really enjoyed. But in this, the jokes are just so witty and quick, and I like how I don't know how willing they are to dive into the modern language.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe I'm still in the mindset of everybody's kind of stuffy in the 1930s, you know? But it's so much more playful than I expect. My big worry is that this is a sign of the pre-code era, and like we're going to hit 1934 and everything's just going to feel like the desert, just dried out and
This is obviously something we haven't mentioned yet on this episode. The reason that we're talking about these movies in this order is that this is the order of release.
Yeah.
Right? So Smiling Lieutenant came out first and then Bad Girl. And I think that's interesting that those two movies came out back to back, or like, Smiling Lieutenant and then Bad Girl, because those two movies specifically kind of lead the way for what Hays Code was doing. Right? The Hays Code specifically, I mean, we'll get it with Bad Girl. There is a lot going on with the production of Bad Girl that was to fit the Hays Code. With Smiling Lieutenant, though, I think you're right. That stuffiness that you're talking about isn't present in Smiling Lieutenant because the tone that they've set overall is much more whimsical than that. Whereas the other movies that we see previously and of this year that do kind of touch on that Hays Code a little bit and push the limit just a bit, adhere to that stuffy tone. If that makes sense. Like I know Bad Girl specifically is a lot more like grounded in like, well, hey, this isn't right.
Right.
And like we can't do this. Smiling Lieutenant throws that out the window. And it's just like I will sleep with whoever I want, whenever I want.
Sure.
And it's fine. And isn't that like cool to watch me do that? Aren't I such a scamp? Son of a gun.
But still in a way that, they're not blatantly showing things on screen.
Right. They can dance around it. So
yeah. And just to be clear, it is the Hays office that's regulating all of this, but the Hays Code itself, that code doesn't come into effect until 34.
Oh, interesting. I thought there was something specifically with we'll talk about with Bad Girl, but Bad Girl, I had read a lot of how the Hays Code was affected by this. And maybe that's more after the fact, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, again, it was Hays, the man that the code is named after, was still there regulating everything.
Copy.
But like that list of 12 commandments or whatever the Hays Code is like that was 1934 that came out.
Copy, yeah, because he was the president of the MPPDA.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
We'll talk about him.
You done messed up my Lubitsch.
You done goofed. I do want to talk about one last thing here about Smiling Lieutenant specifically. Did you feel that there were any, I don't want to say similarities, but the same scenes or same settings and locations from Love Parade to Smiling Lieutenant?
I don't know if I identified them as like the same scenes, but it does feel very reminiscent. It's kind of a similar setting in general with the royalty and the soldier and all of that.
I was thinking specifically of the King and Princess of Flossenthurm's mansion or castle, that staircase.
Yes.
I felt like that's the same staircase from Love Parade.
Yeah.
And Princess Anna's bedroom to me felt like the bedroom from Love Parade. So there's scenes specifically, and it's not like they reused every set, but it felt like, well, hey, this worked so well the last time that we filmed it, why don't we do this again? I wasn't sure if you caught on that as well.
The staircase above all else, yes, that did look familiar. I have no idea if it...
I didn't find anything on my research of it, but it was something that stood out to me, so I just wanted to check with you.
Yeah, because I don't know how long they would be leaving up sets. Like, they definitely did it during that time period, but I don't know.
Well, I wondered if it was an actual location.
Oh, that probably not, but maybe?
Like the orchestra and everything, for sure. Like there's set pieces there and production designs, set designs that are built for it. But I wondered with that staircase and how grand it was, I wasn't sure if like that was an actual location, or maybe they just put it, hey, we built this large staircase, put it in the studio lot, and we'll just come back to it whenever we need it.
Right.
And maybe they just use that. But the setting itself just felt very reminiscent of Love Parade, and not in a bad way of like, boo.
Yeah, we've been here before.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen this.
Yeah.
It's the same guy, too. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was just more like I wasn't sure if I was having flashbacks or deja vu, but
Yeah.
it did feel, especially Maurice running down kind of jauntily from the stairs. That to me was like, oh, that's Love Parade.
Yeah. Well, I'll be curious though, when we watch 1 Hour with You, if maybe we'll start to pick up on some of that, and not just with 1 Hour with You, but any of these Paramount pictures.
Well, 3 times it takes 3 times to be a trend, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
third movie, we'll see.
And that's a good time to really talk on that in general. That's how these films were made. If you were a studio film, which most of these movies we'll talk about in the early era are studio films, you would build these sets and leave them on the lot and just say, okay, this is our royal castle set. Whoever wants to make a movie about royalty, there you go. You can use it until they tear it down to replace it with something else. Giant paddock for a T-Rex or something. Probably not a Paramount.
Is that in 1 Hour with You? I'm not familiar.
I think that is for Skippy 2.
Skippy 2. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the tagline for Skippy 2. This time the dog's back for more.
Oh my God. The dog bites back.
Twice the bike accidents. This is really your fault for drinking whenever you're trying to tee me up for a tagline.
I can't drink when I talk. So I got to drink when you talk. And you throw out a kid hitting the telephone pole with the bike.
I thought about this. There's a couple movies that I was having some difficulty finding the ends to. And I was like, well, I wonder if I could just look up what happens in them. And I was like, no. Because then that's how I miss out on Skippy.
Yes.
To where I don't get to see this until on pod. Which, don't get me wrong, incredible moment that we get to have that on pod of me discovering that scene.
It's so good.
But yeah, we'll get there. What else do you want to talk about with Smiling Lieutenant?
I mean, I think that this was one of the easiest we've ever kind of just flowed our enjoyment and the highlights of the movie. It's weird. It's one of those, this was nominated for Best Picture and that's it. So you don't really get the opportunity to say, well, that's why this was nominated for that. But it's all enjoyable.
It is. And I got to tell you, like this year specifically of what we've watched, I've really enjoyed myself. And that is a nice change of pace because last year we were watching, well, the last month, but our last year that we covered, it felt like whether it was Trader Horn or Cimarron, it felt like, man, this is research. Like you're not enjoying it as much. It really is just the research of it. And at the end of the day, like, the research is a big part of it, but also the enjoyment of like watching these movies is another part. And of the movies I've watched for the 5th Academy Award year, I've really enjoyed myself more than I did with like Trader Horn or Cimarron. I really enjoyed Front Page. I semi-enjoyed East Lynne, and then I enjoyed Skippy too.
It's back.
I enjoyed Skippy as well. But I'm so happy watching Smiling Lieutenant where I'm like, oh, this feels more confident, right? Like, obviously from All Quiet on the Western Front to Cimarron from a Best Picture win, it feels a little bit like, well, hey, we can do these sprawling epics, and that's what these movies are now. It's nice to see that we can still like have a joyful tone in things like Aerosmith or in this, The Smiling Lieutenant being a musical. So I'm really enjoying my time so far this year.
That's good news. You've actually watched one more movie so far this year, or for this Academy year, than I have.
Correct.
I have not looked up who won anything this year.
Oh, well, I know Best Picture, but that's beyond that. Yeah, nothing.
I kind of want to leave it that way.
Cool.
Because I'm really curious who was nominated for what. Because watching Smiling Lieutenant, I get nobody getting nominated for this.
I probably would have pushed a little bit for Claudette Colbert, but otherwise I agree.
Is that because her performance was great, or because you're like mini smitten?
Both can be true.
Yes.
But I think that of the character work in this movie, she has the most to do.
Yeah.
And I thought she was breathtaking whenever she was on screen. Whereas Princess Anna was like more comedic, and then Maurice a little bit more comedic. The heart of the movie really lies in Francie, Claudette Colbert's character.
Sure.
So I would have thought she would have gotten a nomination for this, but I'm not going to say I'm campaigning on the streets for it.
With
just
a cow.
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to seeing who does get nominated.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, what did you give The Smiling Lieutenant?
So I gave Smiling Lieutenant 3.5 stars. And spoiler alert, not only did you give The Smiling Lieutenant 3.5 stars, I was about to ask if this is a rewatch, but I realize now you said this.
Not
is
anymore, baby.
But a friend of the pod, Bryce, also gave this 3.5 stars.
Wow.
So look at us.
You heard it here first, folks.
And I'm intentionally not looking at your score before I put my score.
Oh, good.
Because I want to be like, genuine to have the conversation of like, well, how did you get that far? And
Yeah.
why am I so far ahead than you? And I think that's right. I think 3.5 is very good. I'm not going to say Smiling Lieutenant is my favorite movie of what we've watched, but I did very much enjoy my time with Smiling Lieutenant. And I maybe upon revisiting would give it 4 stars, but I think that final sequence of Francie just kind of being
sad.
They're like, happy ending, right? You're like, not for her.
Yeah.
Like that to me, I was like, half a star.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really what did it. And I wonder if rewatching it, knowing the outcome, I'll be more loose with my rating.
Right.
But
well, and it would be one thing if her character is kind of like, well, I don't need any of you. Forget all of you. Actually, I'm going to leave. Where's Max? I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
And there's like that little jokey element of like, she's mad, so she's going to go storm off. So then you're like, well, she didn't handle that well, so I guess everything's okay. But in the end, she's like, no, I'll fall on my sword. So you can have a wife who puts out, like, just come on, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that stopped me from giving like a full 4 stars. But I mean, I did really enjoy Smiling Lieutenant.
I had a lot of fun with it. And thankfully, we get another Lubitsch musical with Maurice in maybe a couple weeks.
A couple weeks?
Yeah.
I would say for certainly a couple weeks.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
At least in the next 4.
Yeah. Accurate. Very nice.
I think. So double feature. I had some fun with the double features on this year specifically. I mostly because I'm very much trying not to make things complicated for you when you make the Letterboxd list.
Appreciate that.
Of make everything like, this really reminded me of The Brutalist. So that being said, I did choose The Brutalist.
Excellent.
No, for this one, I tried looking at this isn't my pick, but the She's All That of this kind of movie. Mm-hmm. Of like, we took this down and out princess that no one wanted, boo, and what if we made her into this like starlet? And this relationship between them. And I thought it was kind of a nice touch on like a Shakespearean kind of like, these two don't get along, how are they going to end up together type thing.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of 10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay.
1999, directed by Gil Junger. This was, it might be younger, I don't know. But this was the Heath Ledger, Julia Stiles movie adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing. I very much enjoyed this movie. I love 10 Things I Hate About You. It's funny to say that. And even the sequence in 10 Things I Hate About You with Heath Ledger doing the Can't Take My Eyes Off You sequence on the bleachers.
I love you, baby.
Yeah, that feels a little bit like Smiling Lieutenant as well. Mm-hmm. Especially with that like quick jaunt he does of like kicking his legs like the WB frog.
Yeah.
I'm aware that's not what it's from, but that's just immediately what I think of. A lot of that feels like Smiling Lieutenant, and specifically the connection between how, I almost said Maurice, Nicky finds himself in this situation.
Yeah.
And then the journey of where he ends up. I thought that reminded me a lot of 10 Things I Hate About You too. So not 1-to-1 by any means, but a nice double feature of the themes from Smiling Lieutenant in 10 Things.
Yes. I like that a lot. And that is like a very fun movie.
It's so much fun.
I have been watching Friends a lot lately. Ziggy has never seen Friends, so we're going through. She's reliving her 90s days.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And
is that why you have the Rachel cut right now?
That's exactly why. I'm so glad you noticed.
It looks good.
Thank you. But in like every episode of not only Friends, but just sitcom television, it is always a setup of this tiny little incident occurs that throws our characters into chaos for the next 30 minutes.
I smiled at a princess and now I'm married to her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because of that, I almost went with the Jennifer Lawrence movie, No Hard Feelings.
Oh, great call.
But that felt like too heavy.
Well, I mean, sex comedy.
You know what? I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm absolutely going
that makes
with
perfect sense because Lubitsch is very clearly making sex comedies.
Yeah.
And that is probably the most notable sex comedy of the past couple years.
Yeah. You know what? I like it. I was going to go with another Lubitsch movie, but I'm going to save that one for a better scenario.
And I wonder if that's nominated at some point.
It wasn't. I made sure that it wasn't.
What's it like to do that research?
I just did it
just
on
now?
on the podcast.
Okay, well, vindication.
Yeah, but yeah, No Hard Feelings. Kind of a weird little note of a plot that just throws our characters into chaos. Hey, we really want someone to sleep with our son because we feel bad for him, and they hire Jennifer Lawrence, and there's like a goofy, funny, maybe inappropriate relationship that not everybody agrees with. But
No Hard Feelings is such a great... You're crushing these double features.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. 10 Things I Hate About You was fantastic.
Thank you.
I love it.
I appreciate that.
You got it. You got it, my dude. But that's it for the Smiling Lieutenant. Like I've said a million times, I'm super excited for the 5th Academy year because I haven't seen these. And that's super exciting for me. I'm sure it's super exciting for you who also hasn't seen these.
It's nice coming. I mean, I know we've already done this with Cimarron and the 4th Academy Award year, but it's nice to hear you say that I've seen more of these movies from the 30s than you have.
It's the first time this will happen.
Well, we'll see if it's the last. I'm trying to do my research as much as possible, so you're not like, this week we're doing these. I'm like, oh,
right.
I have to watch them now. I'm trying to get ahead of it, so glad to hear it. I'm also at the movies a lot because there's a lot coming out. We're filming this in March, recording this in March, so we're seeing a lot of, we talked about Sinners 2 months ago. No, last month. We did talk about Sinners.
Yeah.
Anyways, so now we have the movies that are trying to fill that time slot that Sinners was in last year.
Right.
It's an interesting time. So I'm balancing watching the older movies with still watching newer movies. And all that to say, I'm tired.
Yeah. I hope that movies don't feel like a chore anytime soon.
I'm glad that they don't yet.
Yeah.
There's a couple that by the time I'm like 90% done with it, I'm like, okay.
Sure.
Let's get there.
Yeah.
I'm doing my fingers in a circle of like, let's pick up the pace. But we'll get there.
You know what one of my favorite things about this Academy year is? Nothing is over 2 hours long. Period.
Thrilled.
Not even just the Best Picture nominees, but I was looking at like what a death race would look like for this year. Nothing is over 2 hours long.
I always like, I swear to God we'll wrap. I always like the idea of looking at trends and reactions from the Academy Awards. And I think last year we saw that Cimarron was kind of look what we did with All Quiet on the Western Front. We should do like a big sprawling epic like that too. These movies should be longer. And then this year they're like, let's get back to basics.
Yeah.
And
calm down.
I really appreciate the overreaction to correction.
Yes. Especially when it's for this and it makes movies shorter.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a proponent, pro short movie.
Right.
But sometimes it feels good. Especially if they're not great movies.
I will tell you that popping on some of the movies that I have been, I see 90 minutes and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's like a treat.
Well, especially with the subject matter, but
yeah,
that's a whole thing.
If you have thoughts about The Smiling Lieutenant or any of the other films we'll be covering for this Academy year, next episode we'll be doing Bad Girl. Shoot us an email at outaopodcast@gmail.com. Those email responses get read on our ceremony episodes at the end of every month. I'll just throw out a question too if you want to respond to that in this email. How do you feel about musicals? Do you love movies, but you're like, yeah, but I don't vibe with musicals?
And if you don't like musicals, tell us the one musical that you were kind of okay with.
Yeah.
Because I think that's indicative of the kind of musicals you would like.
Even if it's like a Disney movie.
For sure.
Or a musical episode of a TV show that's gone on for like 8 seasons. Because it's happened.
I mean, Community did it.
Will Trent did it.
A musical?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't, Glee does it every episode.
American Horror Story did it.
Simpsons did it.
They all do it. If you'd like to show your support for the show, check out patreon.com/OUTAO podcast. By doing so, you'll gain access to the community Discord, monthly watch parties, movie reviews where Ryan reviews fun
I need to
current
do that for
movies.
Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, hit me up with
Great
it, man. We'll get it posted if it's not already. And what else do we have on there? Oh, you can vote for what film you think deserves to win Best Picture for each Academy year. That's fun. But yeah, check that out. Again, patreon.com/OUTAO podcast. Subscribe, rate, review the show, and yeah, I think that's it.
We appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, we do. That's going to do it for this episode. As always, I'm your host, Kyle.
I'm Ryan.
And we'll see you at the movies.